Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. My name is Jim. Thank you for riding along today. I'm going to do something a little different for me, I think. Number one, I'm going to wing this thing with virtually no notes, except for maybe the song of the week and the unusual fact of the week. I'm just going to go with what was rolling around in my head as I woke up this morning. I laid there and I thought, oh, that might make a good podcast. So we'll see. We'll just see. I turned 73 years old a couple of weeks ago. In reality, it's still April, and I'm recording this to be released on the 24th of May. So I'm not quite 73 yet. But by the time this episode airs, 72 will be long in my rearview mirror, and I'll be chugging towards 74 if I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to get all the way there. You never know what a day will bring, but live life to the fullest and expect to make it to the next day. After that, who really cares? Hopefully someone cares. But you can't live life afraid of dying. You can be cautious about getting hurt, use some common sense. But I just need to speak about getting older. I tried to rewrite the song When I'm 64 by the Beatles to something to the tune of Now I'm 73, and I did the title of that thinking of that wonderful song. I look in the mirror every morning, and when you look at yourself every day, and most of my life I've looked at a reflection of myself at least once every day. And the aging process is so gradual that you don't really notice it. A great way to notice it is to find some old buddy from high school or something, and you haven't seen them for 60 years, 55 years, and you think to yourself how old they look and act and appear, and you turn to somebody that knows you, like I would turn to Kim and say, do I look that old? Of course she would say no, because she loves you so much. She doesn't call it lying, but is stretching the truth a little. I look at my arms and I've got spots. They call them liver spots, and little blood type bruises if I bang up against something. Not very hard either. I'll get those, I look at my face in the mirror and I've got little bumps and brown things and some wrinkles. I'm blessed with my mother's skin. She did not have a wrinkle one until she was fairly old, ready to die, and the ravages of the stroke she suffered have weighed on her. But she was clear into her 60s and skin like a 20-year-old. And I've been blessed with that type of skin pretty much. I don't have a lot of wrinkles, but I have a few. My hair is gray. I still have hair, but it's kind of like my dad's hair. What I mean by that is the hairline. I kid that there's more hair in my ears than on my head, and it seems to get thicker in my ears as it gets thinner on my head, which is a weird thing. I have aches and pains where I used to never have them. I notice I walk a little stiffer anymore. I prefer shoes that I can slip on so I don't have to bend over and tie my shoes. That seems to be a major chore to do that. And of course my favorite shoes, my wife thinks makes me look like some kind of person that can't afford any shoes. So I guess comfort is not a major thing if I'm going to go out into public. But I do wear them if I go out in public without her, Just out of respect, I'll change my shoes to some shoes that aren't as comfortable, just to show her that, yes, you're important to me, dear, more important than my comfort. When I go to bed at night, I seem to want to go to bed earlier, and henceforth I wake up earlier. Lately, my new time to wake up is 5:30. That's not terrible. I kind of like the morning. When I go to bed, I might go to bed at 8, but I listen to some music. I read my Bible. I read a book. I check Facebook one last time. Last thing I usually do before I turn the light off is see how many downloads I've had for the day on my podcast. I think it's important to keep busy, and the podcast has done that for me. I wonder where my life would be if we did not have the internet, because I spent a lot of time there maintaining a couple of groups on Facebook, doing my podcast, generally goofing off. This time of year makes it harder because I have a lot of work to do outside, and I question myself, how long can I keep that up? I do work very hard between April and the 1st of December outside, and then I kind of retreat into the great indoors where I do like it because I get a rest and goof off and not work as hard. But I can't really climb a ladder and get on my roof and clean my chimney. I can, don't get me wrong, I can do that. But this last year I had my son-in-law get up on the roof and clean the chimney just because it got hard for me to get down. I kind of freaked myself out on getting down off the ladder because I think I'm not as flexible. I've talked about that before, but it is a major thing, and I gave that up because it freaked me out, and by my getting freaked out, I freaked out Kim, and so she talked me into asking Ryan, and they had offered anyway. So whenever he comes, I need to make sure that he cleans that chimney, so in case he doesn't come again before winter sets on us and I want to burn my fireplace, because they live in Colorado. One thing I found about myself, not really sure I really like it about me, is I seem to have lost, maybe not lost, but disregarded my filter. When I say my filter, I mean like what I say to people, how I speak to my wife sometimes, maybe get a little grouchy with a grandchild. I noticed I've been doing it on the podcast. My main intent on the podcast, besides leaving something for my grandchildren to get to know me after I'm gone, my main thing is to not divide on this podcast. I want to entertain you, tell you my heart, tell you some good stories. There's enough in the world out there trying to divide us. And it is a funny thing. We can't seem to disagree without being disagreeable anymore. I find that that is sad. And yet, if we talk, we all have a belief in something, and I'm not going to let anybody run over me with that. But I don't feel that the podcast is the place for me to try to forward my agenda. And my intention is not to say this is the way it is and tough noogies. So my filter has to be changed, I think, because I want you to leave feeling good. I don't care what you think about anything. See, there I go again. I do care what you think because I care about everybody I come in contact with, or I want to care. And in a weird sort of way, I'm coming in contact with you and you're coming in contact with me by us doing this podcast together. So I'm trying to get better about this filter thing that I didn't even know I had one when I was younger. I just seemed to get along with everybody and everybody got along with me. But yes, I had enemies and we all have enemies, but just a few. I want you to leave this podcast smiling and maybe laughing and maybe shaking your head a little saying, you know, he's half crazy. Our song of the week this week is This Diamond Ring by Gary Lewis and the Playboys. Written by Al Kooper, Bob Bass, and Irwin Levine in 1965. It became the #1 hit on Billboard's Hot 100 charts. The songwriter Al Kooper was unhappy with Gary Lewis and the Playboys' version of the song, and he vocalized that he always wished that the Drifters had recorded this song, and not Gary Lewis and the Playboys. A little known fact is Leon Russell played keyboards on this iconic song. This diamond ring doesn't shine for me anymore. Our unusual facts this week. Seniors say that who they are doing things with is more important than what they are doing. 20.1% of all Florida's population is 65 years or older. So it's warmer, right? That's why senior citizens go down there. Well, Maine is number 2 with 20.0% average 65 years or older. And Maine is 25 degrees colder than Florida on the average. So old people going to Florida because it's warmer is kind of a misnomer. The last one here on our unusual fact. A year ago, Vanna White became eligible for Medicare. Who'd ever thunk it? As I look at my life and I look at how I'm aging, but I think I'm aging well. I've been very blessed to make it to 73. I'm planning on doing that in the next couple of weeks. I feel blessed that I found podcasts as something to do in my golden years. I've got a new thing going now. I text a grandchild. About once a week I'll text one of them. I try to spread it around to the ones that have a phone. Sometimes they text me back, go LOL. I usually send them a picture of that particular grandchild when they were younger and try to write something nice and funny maybe sometimes, and they probably wonder what's going on with Papa. I find that that's kind of fun, and I want to let them know that even though maybe they don't see me very often and I hardly talk to them on the phone, it's hard to talk on the phone anymore with my hearing. That is the one thing that's wrong with me, I guess, is my hearing. I don't know if it's wrong with me, but it's a big physical challenge. So I try to steer clear of the telephone, even though I carry mine with me all the time. My fingernails and toenails have gotten weird as I've gotten older. I won't elaborate on that too much. I find it harder to go up and down the stairs, but on purpose I'll go up and down our stairs 5-6 times a day. We have a ranch-style house with a full basement. You know, the basement's finished and all that. But I have in the storage room down there what I call the grocery store, and it is a pantry deluxe. That's a fact. So if my wife needs something while she's cooking dinner, I always volunteer to go and get it. So I like to go up and down the stairs. Not that it's easy. It's not hard, but it's harder than it was 20 years ago. But it keeps me going up and down and up and down and up and down. Same way as I'll walk the quarter mile to the mailbox and back. You got to do those little things to keep yourself going. I try to eat healthy, and yet I'm not a slave to that because I like to have a milkshake once in a while. I like to eat wings once in a while. I'm too old to try to learn to eat kale. Even if I had the desire, I don't think I would. The one thing about growing older that maybe I do that I don't enjoy is I look at obituaries. You know, it's a weird phenomena to do that. I'm always looking for someone that I know. And then it makes me sad if I do locate somebody. And then maybe I'll smile and chuckle and remember something from days gone by that possibly we did together, or some kind of urban legend about that person. Then I took them away in my heart thinking, you know, I hadn't thought about them for a very long time. And I go about my day, and I realize that I am indeed very blessed. And no, I'm not going to take anything for granted. And yet I do, all the time. Like breathing, like smiling, like crying, like loving, like thanking God. You can find us at babyboomertales.com. You can write us at babyboomertales@gmail.com. You can watch us on our YouTube channel. You can hear us wherever podcasts are served. So get along, little doggies. Always be kind. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.